On September 28th, 2022, my family and I gathered around my laptop. It was COVID. We gathered around my laptop to take our oath of Canadian citizenship. After personal, governmental, and epidemic delays, the five of us had to be in one frame on the same computer, and we proudly professed our faith in and true allegiance to King Charles as the representative of Canada and as the representative of all Canadians. We affirm that we will faithfully observe the laws of Canada, and I said I would fulfill my duties as a Canadian citizen. Sean, our children, and I chose to become citizens of this country because living here is a privilege. It's a privilege to be part of a democracy, and it comes with responsibilities no less serious than the brit, the covenant that we hold with God. For a while now, it's felt as if our country has broken their end of the bargain. It feels like Canada has abandoned some of its responsibilities to the Jewish community, and for too long, we have said as a community that hate speech leads to hateful acts, that graffiti and vandalism lead to broken windows, that attacks on institutions will turn into attacks on people. This culminated last week in the shooting at Temple Emmanuel, Purim evening. Of course, on Friday night, the shootings at the Bayit and at Sharei Shamayim synagogues. And on Sunday morning, I sat at Sharei Shamayim with Rabbi Taylor, with representatives of UJA and JSN, the Jewish Security Network, of CIJA, of Simon Wiesenthal, and with municipal, provincial, and federal leadership in a frank discussion about what has happened to our country. The conversation continued all week, and yesterday I joined about 25 other rabbis and leaders of synagogues to speak with Premier Ford and some of his government and demand immediate and strong action. We know this week that the federal government pledged $10 million to CCSP, the Canada Community Security Program, for additional protections for synagogues and other Jewish institutions. And yesterday we told Premier Ford it's not enough. $10 million will be gone in the blink of an eye. Last year, the Jewish community spent $25 million securing our spaces, and we still find ourselves in the current situation. We need more money, but we need so much more than money. We need Canada to change. At yesterday's meeting, Rabbi Landsberg of Temple Emmanuel told us the first question they were asked by the Hate Crime Investigation Unit was, have you posted online about Israel? They might as well have asked, were you acting Jewish? Were you connecting with 3,000 years of history and heritage and yearning for our homeland? You don't ask a rape victim what they were wearing, and you don't ask a Jew if they are attacked, did they post about Israel? By the way, the answer she gave was, we post pictures of our children dancing on Purim, and we had 1,200 Israeli flags on our property for the 1,200 people murdered on October 7th. When Rav Jen and I chose to move to Toronto about 21 years ago, Toronto was a thriving Jewish center, and we knew we could live freely as Jews. Over the years, We have often found ourselves doing business in Hebrew with people coming to the house. 80% of Canadian Jews have been to Israel. 20% about have lived there for 6 months or more. We have a deep generational Jewish connection to our homeland, and it has nothing to do with the wave of hate and violence that is spreading through our country. It's not about us. This time it didn't even start with us. It started with the shooting up of a mosque during Friday prayers in Quebec City. It's a sickness that is spreading like an epidemic, and just like COVID, our country has to act as one unified body in order to combat it. So I will share with you some of the actions that are underway. Of course, the $10 million $10 million added to security measures at the federal level, more money for security at the provincial level, increased funding to investigate hate crimes, and a change in the process. Bill 75 at the provincial level here in Ontario to ensure barrier-free access. This will ensure that bridges, roads, essential infrastructure, and institutions are not blocked. The province is pushing for armed security guards. There is a $100,000 reward being added to Crime Stoppers for information that leads to the arrest or conviction of perpetrators of hate. And the federal level, they're working on additional hate crime legislation and bubble zones. Even with this, it sometimes feels like everyone is punting to everyone else. But this week, not just this week, we made clear that the finger pointing must end, and I think they might actually be waking up. Premier Ford listened to our concerns. We asked for stronger action. We asked to not hear thoughts and prayers. We asked for stronger penalties. We asked for the right to protect ourselves. Rabbi Karapkin, in responding to Premier Ford, who told us his Attorney General said canceling Al-Quds Day would result in a charter challenge they could not win and might even cause it to grow, said, if that's the response of the Attorney General, you have a bad Attorney General. They work for us. You work for us. It's not up to us to tell you how to stop hate in the city. It's for our government to do what needs to be doing. And if you work on this and you lose, we will still know that you care and you tried. If London, England can find a way to change their Al-Quds Day, so can Toronto. I reminded Premier Ford and the other electeds there that Al-Quds Day was started by the first Ayatollah Khomeini, that it is by its very nature hate speech. It is built on a foundation of hate. When someone burns a cross, no one questions what it means. And when someone says, globalize the Intifada, when someone says, from the river to the sea, we know what it means, and it doesn't matter if they didn't mean it that way. It is hate speech regardless of the intention and must be treated as so. If you speed and you didn't realize it, you still get a ticket. If you are doing something illegal and you didn't mean it, there are still consequences. We need aggressive approaches And sometimes we need to fight the fight even though we may lose, because it needs fighting. Hours later, Premier Ford announced that the provincial government was seeking an injunction to stop the planned Al-Quds Day rally. I'm told it didn't work, but it is clear that he heard us. I've stood on this bima and talked about war. I have stood on this bima and talked about hope. We are at war, but I will talk about hope. Hope is woven into the fabric of who we are as Jews. Very soon we will read the words in our Haggadah, in every generation, B'kol dor vador, someone has risen up to destroy us. But we don't end with that message. V'hi she'amda, we continue to stand because we end on a joyous note. We do this with our Torah readings. We do this when we read Eicha, Lamentations on Tisha B'Av. We do it with Megillat Esther. We will not end on a downer. We always look to hope. Gam ze ya'avor, this too will pass. However, ein somchim al hanes, we will not rely on the miracle. We know that better days will come, but in the meantime, we will be part of making them come. We will stand together. We will be here in shul week after week after week. We will support each other. We will vote. We will demand action from our government. We will fight to make sure Canada is a country where we can all be proud to raise our hands and affirm our pride and loyalty to our nation.